Hello, my name is Jimmy and this is the 2023 BMW iX, the latest electric SUV from the brand. Here in Canada, there are three levels of the iX. You got the base xDrive 40 that comes in at 80,000 Canadian dollars. You got this, the xDrive 50, that starts at 90,000 Canadian. And then you got the M60, that starts at 122. The base xDrive 40 only has 322 kilometers of range. This xDrive 50 has 521 kilometers. So it definitely can go quite a bit further than the base model. So that $10,000 difference actually seems quite worth it. So this definitely is the sweet spot. But let's take a look at, well, I guess starting with the looks. On the front end, well, it's pretty typical BMW, right? You got your typical BMW headlights. They do look different, let's say, but it still has that BMW flair and style to it. The grille, massive grille in the center. And of course it's fake because it's an EV. And you got the sportier front end design here. There are different styles that you can choose from, but personally I don't mind this too much, especially in this black, because it hides, well, a lot of that weird little detail that you get with the sportier front end. I do like this though, the BMW logo in the center, because you can't open the hood. This pops up so you can fill up the washer fluid. Smart. On the side here, we get 22-inch wheels, and I do like them. They're not your standard typical EV wheels where generally like it's flat for maximum efficiency. They actually put some work into it to make it look kind of cooler. The side profile is pretty typical, right? There's nothing too much about it really. But the doors, they're special because they don't have the typical door pull. I mean, it's an electric vehicle after all. They do have to do something different. And it's frameless. So you can see that there's no frame around the window. That's also really cool. And also another thing that's cool is when you have the doors open and you can see the carbon cage. First, it's not a full carbon vehicle. This is not an entirely carbon fiber vehicle. You got steel, you got aluminum, you got carbon fiber in there, and a bunch of glass, of course. But it's a hybrid of those materials to keep the weight down. I mean, at 5,600 pounds, it's not the lightest thing in the world, but hey, it's lighter than if it was made from all steel. And you got soft closed doors. I do like soft closed doors. It just elevates that luxury experience. And then back here, we get more controversial bits and pieces of BMW's latest design. I mean, some people call it bland, some people are saying it's controversial, some people saying it's just outright weird. I personally don't mind it that much. I like the taillights and the sequence of when you turn on and off the vehicle. I think it looks cool. And because it's a full clamshell like this, kind of like the Audi Q7, for example, you get repeating taillights back here. You get more of that carbon structure as well. It's cool. I have nothing bad to say about this rear end. And in the trunk itself, you get 35.5 cubic feet, which isn't bad. If you fold the seats down with the buttons on the side, you get 77.9 cubic feet. And what's nice is you don't have to fold down 60-40 like most BMWs. You can fold them 40-20-40. The only thing is if you need to fold down the middle, you will have to go around to the back doors and fold down that separately. There's no buttons in the back here. I mean, one extra step, it's fine. It really is. All right, as for the rear seats, well, they're actually really comfortable. The material that they chose is kind of weird. It's like this cloth and suede thing, but I have no problems with it. It's just nice. In front of me, I do have two USB-C charge ports, which I like. There's a little slot here for all your accessories to go. You can put like an iPad screen, coat hanger, and stuff like that. You got your climate control, heated seat controls, and yeah, it's actually just nice back here. One thing I did notice, the doors, first, they don't open a full 90 degrees, which could make it harder for some people to get in and out. But what it is the seat themselves is actually recessed back from the door. So the door opening is not as wide as some other vehicles. So, I mean, if you're fitting child seats in here, like this Kleck Ling on the driver's side, well, it might be a little bit more difficult than some other vehicles, but still didn't have any problems. A Filmfare on the passenger side also fits perfectly. It's actually a very spacious cabin for your child seats. I didn't even have to move the front seat forward. I'm 5'11", and I'm perfectly comfortable in front. Because the iX is relatively wide, I was able to also fit in this Kleck Flow in the center. There's plenty of space here for 3 child seats across. There are 2 sets of lower anchors, one on the driver's side, one on the passenger side. Pretty typical. and 3 upper anchors across the bench. But these headrests are non-movable. So depending on your child seats, they might interfere. So do check it out if you're, well, either already have child seats or if you're planning to buy this car, do make sure that the two are compatible with each other. But let's check out the front seats. All right, the front seats of the iX, superbly comfortable. It feels like a massive couch up here. The seats, they have the same material as the rear, this cloth and kind of velour or suede insert here. It's different. I thought it would be really warm and it'll trap the heat, but I didn't find it that way, and I actually find it to be very, very pleasant and comfortable. They are heated, but not cooled, and you do get massaging seats, but only on the driver's side. In the driver's side, you got active bolsters on the side, or, well, adjustable bolsters anyway, but you don't get that on the passenger side. So whoever's sitting shotgun, well, as long as you don't tell them, they won't miss too much, I guess. In front of me, you don't get your typical steering wheel. This 6-sided steering wheel, at first it looks weird, and when you're turning, it still feels a little weird, but it just works. The normal hand placement, 3 and 9, 2 and 10, or just on the bottom, or full gangster lean, it all works because that's the areas that it's flat. It's actually, it just works. I like the steering wheel a lot. The buttons, they are kind of this like push the entire panel thing. It's a little different, but I don't have any problems with that. Behind that, the cluster also works really well. Obviously, it's a full digital cluster and it just works. You can change the layout with the button on the steering wheel, and if you change the drive mode, it changes the overall theme as well. You also have a color heads-up display, and that shows you plenty of information. But the main piece here is this infotainment screen, this floating display. It actually looks really, really good. Very, very high-end screen. The colors just pop. And it is a new iDrive system, which means most of the things that you need to do is going to be on the screen, but I don't find it that bad. I mean, most of the things that I'm going to be using is climate control, maybe setting the temperature. It's readily available right there. Front and rear defrost, there's a physical button right on the bottom. And the rest of it is CarPlay. And that takes up the entire display, and that also works very well. If I need to, interact with CarPlay, I can use the touchscreen, or I can use the dial that's down here. And this dial, it has your volume button here, has everything that you need. A lot of people are complaining about how you don't get your standard controls anymore. Personally, I didn't really use them before. Yes, it'll be nice to have more of those presets readily available, but you still have like your favorites menu. When you swipe down from the top, you got your kind of favorites presets on the top. I think it's fine. A lot of people like to just complain whenever they find something that's different. Some people are just kind of stuck in their ways. But using this for the week, I don't have any complaints about it. Overall, the entire interior of this vehicle, it's really, really nice. I have no complaints whatsoever. Functionality, it all just works. It's a fancier BMW experience than any other BMWs because it's just so different. And I know when things are different, people start to complain. Like this cup holder, a lot of people are like, oh, it's so far, it's out of the way. But when you're driving, let me just push this back. When you're driving along, your cup holder being there, your knee isn't like blocking it. I can just grab my cup with ease and get a sip of my drink, put it right back. It's fine. And the cutout is like narrower on the top where you're able to get your cup. If you're using like paper cups and they're smaller, maybe that becomes an issue, but I have no problems with this. I just always use my reusable bottle here. So to me, it's absolutely fine. And I like this place where you can put your phone. So, there's a USB-C port underneath. You can put your charger right there and charge your device. Or if you just want a wireless chargers on the bottom. Once again, no problems with it. I think this is actually a very, very nice experience. But let's head out on the road and see how the iX handles and drives, as it is the ultimate driving machine after all. All right, now that we're on the road with the iX, underneath, I was gonna say underneath the hood, but I guess it's not. The platform itself, it makes 516 horsepower and 564 pound-feet of torque, which translates to very, very brisk acceleration. If this isn't enough for you and you're like, I want something a little bit more crazy than this, well, BMW has you covered with the M60. That gets you 610 horsepower and 811 pound-feet of torque. That's insane amount of power. Okay, it's not Tesla Plaid type of power, but it's still really good power. 811 pound-feet of torque. You can move mountains with that, really. But, I mean, it's not always just about power, right? It has to stop, it has to turn, it has to be comfortable. And I think the XDrive 50, it's a very good balance of all of that. Because the suspension, it's actually quite soft. It's able to soak up all of those bumps, and it's quite quiet. You put it into sport mode, and the adaptive dampers, they tighten up a little bit, and it has air ride on this. I think it lowers it down just a bit as well. And because of all the wizardry really behind it, it makes it actually a decent performance type vehicle in the corners as well. I mean, it's a BMW after all. Driving matters to them. They want to make sure that, well, if you're driving something like this, you're not only having fun in a straight line, which you certainly can, but they want to make sure that it's still enjoyable in the twisties. And they 100% have done that. I mean, steering wheel is communicative as anything these days. It's not as good as some other vehicles out there, but I mean, it's absolutely fine. You put this around a corner and it hugs the road. It just makes you want to have more fun. Maybe a little too much fun sometimes, which could cause other issues. But I think it's just a really enjoyable driving experience. You just don't get that from a lot of manufacturers these days. And BMW still has that pretty implemented. When you're on the highway, the adaptive cruise control, the lane keep, all that works really well. It's pretty straightforward. You set it up and it just goes on its way. Sure, it's not full hands-off driving, but it's close enough where you don't have to pay as much attention to reduce that strain and that stress of long-distance drives. And with this example, the XDrive 50, 520 odd kilometers of range. I mean, I'm indicating 571 at 98% right now, because probably, well, overestimating a little bit. But over 500 kilometers of range, this is a type of vehicle that you can go, longer distances, and you have AC as well as DC fast charge, up to 163 kilowatt, I think, or 160 something kilowatt. I'll put it down in the text below, whatever it may be. But it has quick and fast charge. You're able to plug that DC into it and get really good amount of range over whatever amount of time. Like, once again, can't remember the actual specs, but it's good enough where you don't have to think, you don't have to worry as much as some other vehicles out there. Overall, the iX is a great vehicle. I mean, yes, the exterior is a little controversial. Not everyone's gonna love it, but if you can get over that styling and some of the quirkiness around it, it's great. The inside, the materials are good. It just feels like a good car. And like the adaptive cruise control and even the adaptive regenerative braking, all that works really well. Like going downhill, it increases that regen so that it stays within that speed limit. If it feels like you're getting a little too close to the car in front of you, when you lift off, it can brake for you. But it feels that you're coasting, it basically turns regen off. It's smart enough to do all of that without doing something weird to the brake pedal like the EQS did. I can link that up here for you if you would like to watch that. It's a good vehicle. It really is. The XDrive 50 that this is at 90,000 Canadian base price, terrific. You get the range, you get the space, you get everything that you really need in an EV. This, as equipped with all the options, 113,000 Canadian dollars. You might not need everything that's in here. Like these beautiful blue seatbelts, $300. But I think you might need these because these are they're exquisite. I love these blue seatbelts. Maybe in red. I guess it kind of depends on the interior that you want. But blue, on this blue, it's so beautiful in here. And it's just a vehicle that makes me smile, right? I'm driving it, it makes me happy. Sure, I'm not looking at the outside. I could care less what the outside looks. But it drives like a BMW should. And that's the best thing about it. In any case, thank you so much for watching this video. Like the video if you do, subscribe if you want to see more, and we'll catch you next time. Take care.